φορά και ένα καιρό πήγε η γάτα στο χορό, δεν χόρεψε καλά, της κόψανε την ουρά. That's a little poetry there. I learned how to speak Greek before I spoke English, and then my mother took me to sign me up for kindergarten, and I had to answer all the questions because I had learned English with my friends on the street, and my mother still didn't know English by the time I was registering for kindergarten. My parents were both born in Greece. They're very religious. They hold with the Greek Orthodox religion. So there were activities in this area. We had relatives that lived in this area. We didn't get involved living here until 1959 when we moved into this apartment here. So I have been here for 55 years, which I think is quite an accomplishment. But as a renter, I found that there's so many things that are good in this neighborhood that I've stayed all these years. The one thing I like is the elevated. I have a car, but I very seldom drive downtown. I can just walk a couple blocks and get on the elevated, and I'm downtown. I was involved with this neighborhood even though I didn't live here because I went to Amundsen High School. Amundsen was one of the two schools here in Chicago that was teaching Greek. It was a language that you could take. So both my sister and I got a permit to allow us to come to Amundsen. Our parents, in addition to sending us to grammar school, would send us from 4 to 6 to a church where they taught Greek. And then when we went to Amundsen and took Greek, we got the best grades in that particular class. And as it turned out, I was the highest ranking boy in my class, although there were quite a few girls ahead of me. And my sister was the valedictorian. This uncle of mine had a tavern, and it was located inside the Western Avenue elevated station, which was something unusual. And he kept it through the war. He was there 47 years until the station was rebuilt, and then he retired. His wife was my mother's best friend, and my mother indicates that we didn't have a telephone, but that wasn't necessary because there was two times a day where you had mail delivery, and they could write a letter and it would get there the next morning, and they could establish where they're going to meet. I've seen a picture of myself and my cousin at the Wells Park wading pool when we were about 2 or 3 years old, and the wading pool isn't there anymore. Now there's a huge building and there's a swimming pool which I utilize. Now that I'm a senior, I'm amazed at the facilities we have. It took me a while to get acquainted with the Northeast Levy Center, which is located at Damon and Lawrence. I got involved with the Senior Center because of their physical fitness. They have a room that has 4 or 5 treadmills, exercise equipment, a lot of weight equipment. And I also noticed they had a little computer room, and it's seniors teaching seniors. And we have more patients. We don't assume that they know everything that we know because we're young kids. And for a while there, I was teaching a course in making greeting cards, signs, posters. But now we also have classes in digital photography and internet. There were more people involved about 10 years ago. We had a huge waiting list. But it seems in that particular time, most of the people have become a little more computer savvy. We used to have classes 5 days a week. Now we have them only 1 day for the basic course, and then we have the internet course and the camera courses as we have students. I became quite involved volunteering at the Northeast Levy Center, and as a result of that, I was also appointed to the Advisory Council on Aging. Right now, it's 21 people in the council, and we meet once a month. I've been on the Advisory Council for over 10 years now. And our purpose is to give some input as to the needs of seniors and to help the department. Mayor Daley, he would recognize the volunteers once a year with a reception. He would always be there to shake hands with everybody, and you'd have your picture taken, and you'd get a copy. every year the st.demetrios church gives a festival where they have rides for the children, and then they have shish kebab and all kinds of additional Greek food, booths where the kids can try for prizes. Then they have Greek dancing, and that too is a good place to socialize. Years ago, when it was first started out, here it was in July, and all the men were wearing suits, and the women were dressed nicely, and it was almost wall to wall. There were just so many people attending. We have a Greek town on Halsted and Harrison, and for a while there were so many restaurants in this area and businesses that catered to the Greeks that we said, my goodness, you don't have to go to Halsted Street. We've got everything we need here. But there's not too many left anymore. My main hobby is photography. I recall as a youngster I was interested in utilizing a box camera because that's all that was available in the family. So later on when I got into taking pictures, I also did darkroom work. And yet that was the state of the art, and I was quite impressed with it. And then color photography, I would use mostly Kodachrome. And over the years I took all kinds of pictures while I was traveling. And I recall on a long trip I would take as many as 40 rolls of film sometimes, and just the handling of all of that film. And yet it was natural. But then along came digital photography, and that's just fascinating. You can put in a memory chip into your camera, and it can take many more pictures than my 40 rolls would take. And then the manipulation that you can do, the adjustments, the corrections, it's just fascinating. And you're not in a dark room with smelly chemicals or anything like that. I've also gotten into working with YouTube because I can do something there and I can put it out for my friends to see it and for other people that might find something like that interesting. I have about almost 200 now out there. I can go and look at them whenever I want, and anybody that finds one that they like, especially I have some of a Greek event or something, and some of the people that might be in that, they can also tell their friends in Greece that they could look at it if they have a computer. One thing I haven't gotten into that much is a smartphone. I don't have a need to carry a cell phone or a smartphone, but every time I'll go downtown, I get on the elevated, and I'm sitting there, and the elevated is full of people, and everybody is looking at their iPad or their smartphone and so on, and I'm sitting there looking at them and saying, here my mother didn't even have a telephone, and what do people need now that they have to have a phone and talk all the time? They have to talk while they're driving, they have to talk while they're shopping. I think a lot of them even talk while they're in the bathroom. I don't know what parting words I have, but the thing is, you just hope that things improve, that the world becomes a better place, and hope that there'll be more understanding.